Hey everybody, welcome back to the Triangular Compass. My name is Will Wisner. I'm the Executive Director here at the Grunt Foundation, and today we are talking about advocacy. And joining me today is my good friend, Mr. Chad Caton, and Chad is the National Field Director for the Conservative Caucus, which happens to be the oldest caucus
That's
in
right.
the United States. So welcome to our show, Chad. Good to see you again.
Glad to be here. When we all met in North Carolina, I promised I'd come out here to St. Louis and hang out with you all. Yes, I am, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Chad is a very interesting person to talk to today because Chad is living one of the most unique lives of anybody that I know, and I know an awful lot of crazy people.
Right.
So that's really saying something. Chad was a long time, I guess it was, Seabee in the Navy. How many years did you end up doing?
I was a regular 4-year, and I ended up getting hurt in a beast, and they wanted me to go to a different rate, and I said no. If I'm not going to be a B, I don't want to be in, and so I did a 4-year stint there, and then I did some contracting, and then I wanted to live in California, so I started a small excavation company because I was an operator in an equipment operator, not one of the operators, and started a small excavation company. Did really well out in California, and started doing wildfire and getting into the firefighting world. And then I moved out to South Carolina, when the market kind of took a dump, and in California, and the politics really bothered me. And my family all in South Carolina, so I went back to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and started working as an occupational firefighter and medic.
Now, I also know that you happen to have grown up not too awful far from where we are here in St. Louis, Missouri today. It was over in, what's the name of the town?
Jacksonville, Illinois.
Jacksonville, Illinois, just outside of the capital there, Springfield, right? About an hour or so south, maybe, a little bit that
We're
range?
famous for a few things. I mean, we invented the Ferris wheel, the Scrambler at Eli Bridge Company, and every CD that was ever done by Capitol Records came out of Jacksonville, Illinois. So
really? That's where they print them? Or?
That's where they make them, yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. My dad actually ran the bar where the night shift would come in at 6 in the morning to party.
Wow. Well, the reason I that came to mind, talk about where you grew up, is I hear that tint of North Carolina twang that's now in that voice. That's not native. Where did you pick that up?
So there's a difference between Southern and country.
Yeah,
I grew up in the country.
That's true.
So and in the Midwest, some people they could live a couple miles away, and depending on wherever they went to school or wherever they ended up working, one can sound country, and the other one can sound like they don't have an accent at all. So my sister has kind of a Chicago accent, which is interesting. Yeah. But I've always got the country thing. I always hung out with those type of people. I worked on a farm growing up, and and then when I get in the South and everybody's talking Southern, I understand what they're saying. My poor wife, she's from Connecticut.
She's lost.
I got the guy that married us. We call him Skeeter, and he's my lieutenant in the fire department. So she's like, I don't understand a thing he's saying, but I translate.
Well, there you go. So we've got the classic hero's journey here. Small town boy leaves the Midwest, goes off to the adventures in the Navy. Has the whole experience of the military during the global war on terror. The Navy Seabee.
Big difference.
I'm
not a fleeter. I'm not a fleeter.
What's the difference? I don't know anything about I hear that term thrown around a lot with the Navy guys and Marine guys. What's that mean?
So Marines and Seabees understand each other more, right? Yeah. We work a lot more together. We're the grunts for the actual Navy. We are a self-contained unit, special forces in the concept of construction and demolition. Yeah. The SEALs were born from the Seabees. The Seabees have a long history of we build, we fight, and the can-do spirit is what the Seabees are all about. And the idea of a bunch of construction guys, who's better in construction than a swarm of bees? And if you mess with a swarm of bees, you're gonna get the tail end of that, and you're not gonna like it. And so I'm very proud of my heritage and being one of the. I love it when people are like, who? I'm like, well, you haven't heard of us. That means we haven't stolen anything from you. Right. And I like being the redheaded stepchild of the Navy. We were grunts. We weren't the guys on the boats. So nothing against the guys on the boats. There's a lot of good rates out there. But I'm proud of my heritage of being a former Navy Seabee and NMCB 5 and subsequently part of the professionals and everything that goes part of it.
So now how did I know what it's like growing up in a country environment. I'm from the Ozark Mountains, and we're made a little different. We're cut from a little bit different cloth. The God country apple pie means an awful lot more to folks in those areas. At least that's my impression I get as I go through life and travel and see all the things.
Sure.
So was your introduction to the military, going into the Seabees, built from that? Was that a calling that called to the young sailors, as they say?
It was kind of. I was always a big fan of history growing up. I had a grandfather, Grandpa Herbie. He loved telling stories, and his stories were of legitimate history. Mm-hmm. So hearing it from him comparative to a book, it was so much more real to me, right? And I remember sitting in the garden and hearing Grandpa Herbie tell stories about things, and he was in World War II, and Grandpa Hildy, my great grandfather, was in World War I. And I used to wear they had the old leather calf things they wore when they wore their boots. They didn't really have high boots, so they wore these leather calf things. And I used to wear them around because he still had them, and saw his uniform and all of that. And then I thought I was going to be a professional football player, and I realized there was bigger people than me in Jacksonville, in the surrounding area that I played, and that wasn't going to work out for me. And a buddy of mine, Bill Gardner, actually went. He wanted to be a B the minute he graduated, and he came home after his A school. And I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do. And we started talking one night, drinking some beers, and I was gone in a week.
Wow.
Actually, I'm lying. It was 2 weeks because I went to MEPS, got drunk. They didn't let me pass MEPS.
They got to make you bend over and grab your cheeks.
Yeah, I was a
80-year-old guy comes out with a magnifying glass, looks at your butthole. And all
well, I wasn't even that. They brought me to MEPS. We went to Hooters, and they thought I was 21, so I got hammered with another guy. And I showed up MEPS the next morning. The bus was there. I was like, oh, we're in trouble because we met the waitresses. It was a whole thing, man. And they said, you're coming back. And they made us sit there all day with a hangover, and I kind of felt the military for the first time. And
you joined anyway.
I joined anyway, right. But I did do the whole I'm not joining unless I'm a CB.
So that connection that we were talking about, from small town USA into the military, and there's all the feels that go along with that. And I want to talk about your time in service specifically in a little bit, circle back to that. But where I want to drive to right now is I want to illustrate that point of you left the military.
Right.
You continued in a role of service professionally in the fire service, I believe it was,
correct.
Right? And then you were injured. And then what came after that before you got into advocacy and government and civic action?
Honestly, I broke my neck and my shoulder, and in a freak, I can't even say it was a hero thing, right? It was a freak accident at the fire department. And I was trying to come back from neck surgery. They put a cage in my neck. They did a surgery on my shoulder, and I was fighting to rehab back from that. And in my town, in my county, they had a 180-day policy. You had 180 days to come back to work. And I kept talking to my chief. He's like, "You're fine. Just keep doing your rehabilitation." And then he got it from the higher ups in the county council saying, no, we have a 180-day policy. And on Christmas Eve that year, I received a letter from Horry County Fire Rescue saying that I have been terminated from my job for not showing up. Not thank you for your service, not...
Did you have any avenue to appeal that?
Yeah, I went batshit crazy. I'm not gonna lie, and I called every lawyer I could, and I sued them, and because they weren't taking care of some of my medical, and I was just trying to get better, right? And I went and talked to the county chairman at the time, and I said I just need some more time. I'm rehabilitating, and basically got tough. We have a policy. It is what it is. And that's what I got from the entire county. And from that point forward, I said, I'm going to learn everything I can about local politics. And I told him, remember my name. And 2 years later, I circled a date on the calendar that I knew they were going for re-election. And I knew it was going to be I learned everything I could about this particular gentleman and who he was running. He was having all kinds of issues with public safety. And I circled an event where I knew he couldn't control the microphone, and I'd get the most bang out of my buck because all of them, senators, congressmen, everybody was going to be there. And I sat in the parking lot, and I gave my wife all my money and credit cards, and I said, don't stop filming. I don't care if they're shooting me. I'm going to get my point across at this meeting.
So that meant desperately meant a lot to you.
He took it all from me.
And that was the identity of service? Was it the identity as a firefighter? Was that an identity? I mean,
I didn't know who I was. I've always been in service to those that can't take care of themselves or help themselves. Yeah. And because of an arbitrary law or rule or and coming from the military, you know, you get hurt, you go to VA, you've got, you know, service connected. They just said you're fired, gone, see ya, bye.
Were you dealing with anything from your time in service that was making that drive even that much more important to you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, you know, I wish I could say I was ultra G.I. Joe while I was in the service. I was just in one of those lull times. I did a lot of stuff for under UN, and the Bs were always where there was a catastrophe. Kicking indoors and whatnot, I didn't get into that much except when we were in Bosnia a little bit. And but the service that I got from it, from being a bee and being when there's been typhoons or earthquakes and digging children out of these buildings, and that just stuck with me. It was that in service, you know. We talk about in the military, now you can't drive that Humvee, it's out of service. No, you can't take that Coupe V, it's out of service. The idea that I was out of service crushed me.
Yeah, and you were seeing the best parts of the country in terms of, you know, I was in the military before 9/11, you know, so I know what humanitarian stuff was. I was down in Panama, we were digging roads and digging wells and building schools and stuff like that out in the interior. The United States does an awful lot of good for people all around the world. And I know that, you know, that must feel uplifting and makes that service connection of doing good with the skills that you have, you know, really changing people's lives and saving people's lives. That's a big thing.
I've always said I like the idea that there is no 912. And I have always put my hand up to say I will be your 911. I will train. I will prepare my body. I will prepare my mind. I will learn what I need to learn to be able to mitigate whatever is coming at you that you felt the need to call 911. And that's something that I have made a part of me my entire life. Even as a firefighter, when I was on the medic, you know, we go get to site calls. And I've snatched up a couple fellers that got away from the cops just because I wanted to be able to be a part of that team and mitigate that situation in any way possible. Not being a cop, but just being able to know how to take care of that. And that's why I love firefighting. And as a rescue guy, you know, I learned everything from the knots to the tricks to the trade, the behavior of fire, and then at the medical, the body, and having to stop a heart attack or mitigate that heart attack to save someone's life, cutting people out of cars, you know, all of that. There's so many different aspects to be good at that job. And it was something that I owned and I owned heavily.
So that's gone. That's taken away.
Right.
There's no avenue to correct it. So you created your own avenue.
I did.
And how did that play out?
Well, if you Google me, there's a whole bunch of crappy write-ups about me, but I'm told that meant I'm over the target.
So you started catching flack.
Yeah, the cabal of South Carolina didn't like me taking out their most powerful, if you will, because Ulrich County, where Myrtle Beach is, where a third of the state budget comes from our county. So, of course, politically, it's a big place. And this particular county chairman was supposed to be governor and all this. And
you disrupted the pipeline.
I destroyed it.
Yeah.
And I destroyed it by showing him for exactly who he was and standing toe-to-toe with him instead of the fear that he would bring on by other people by his cabal. And I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're not doing this anymore."
So it was effective.
Well, let's just say we threw a guy up at midnight to closing to run against him in a primary. He actually went in there, signed up as a lawyer that we grabbed a hold of, and he spent right around $8,000, I think, and the other one spent $1.4 million, and we beat him handedly.
Yeah, man. So that had to have been intoxicating.
It was, you know, I say it all the time. I'm just a dumb fireman you don't want to mess with, right? But I had to learn the game. And I say that all the time.
And how did that impact your mental state? I mean, you had all this identity. It was taken away from you. Now you have found this button that you could push, that you were learning how to navigate to, I can, if I want them to go left, I push this button and they go left. And if I want them to go right, I push this button. So you've kind of wandered into this other reality.
Sure.
Did you clearly gravitated into that place because you're still doing that professionally now? So let's get into that a little bit. How would you describe yourself? And where we said you're the national field director for the Conservative Caucus, and I know you've got your fingers in all sorts of stuff.
I do.
Grunt Style Foundation. We were just out in North Carolina back with Hurricane Helene. And we drove an awful lot of merchandise and relief items out there to that area that was horribly impacted up in the mountains. And then in a follow-on visit, because we knew that you were working with our good friend Boone Cutler in that area,
brother,
getting stuff done. You guys were on the ground up in those mountains while we were out running the little convoy stuff here and there to these different VFW posts to get these items distributed. You were out in
Black Hawk,
the worst of the areas.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get a Black Hawk?
It's an interesting story, but if you know Boone Cutler, anything's possible. And Boone Cutler, I'll never forget the phone call. I was posting about it, and I'm a small influencer on Twitter, and Boone and he called me. He's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "I ain't got no plans." And he goes, "I need you to be at the airport tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And I said, "All right." And he goes, "Pack like you're going to sleep outside." And I said, "Okay." I had no idea. I showed up at the airport. I'm going to Tennessee. Okay. Well, come to find out, he picked me up, and we ended up going over to North Carolina, and we went through the whole program driving there, and we became logistics, and we also became the arbiters of what was real and what wasn't, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion that was going on around Hurricane Helene.
There was, and there was a lot of people taking advantage of the situation, and we tried to mitigate that as much as possible because I had been on multiple networks. I had my own gear. Boone and I have both been in media. So we hit the ground and started bringing truth to big social media stories like the children's, the Black Mountain Children's.
Yeah, the orphanage. We were out there together.
Yeah.
We were out there with you and General Michael Flynn.
Yep, General Flynn came up in Boone, and but it was all over social media. There was kids floating, and there was this, and we literally got up that morning and jumped into a Denali and ran up there, and we're like, we're gonna go help them. And we got up there. We ran into the great director there, Mr. Jimmy. You met him.
Wonderful man.
Phenomenal guy. And we had a great meeting with him. He took us, showed us what happened, and gave us the story. We did the story. I think that had over 1.5 million views because the Black Mountain Children's thing was such a big social media deal.
Can you explain that for those that are listening at home that may not know what that is?
So the Black Mountain Children's home,
there's always a place at the table for them. There's always
orphans, if you will, from different bad situations, and they give them a wonderful place to live. And they take them from whatever age, and then they teach them, even in their adolescence. They'll give them a job. They have a mechanics bay there that they teach them how to take care of their car that they help them buy, and they just build this beautiful organization up there where they are teaching people to be great young people and great men and women, right? And it's religious based to a point, but like Mr. Jimmy was saying, they had somebody that was there from Saudi Arabia Iraq, that the family was brought here because his dad was a translator. Something happened, and the kids were Muslim, and they prayed. They were Muslim, and they prayed and did their prayers every day. But it's not super all about that religion, right? It's more about the people and how they do it.
They're literally executing the message of Christ.
Absolutely.
And that was evident to me when we were there.
Heavy.
That is, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And when you run across things like that in life, those things shine super bright.
And we, because of that, we put out the truth, right? And next thing I know, I had Sean Hendricks from Mr. Beast, the number one YouTuber.
Yeah.
Sean Hendricks reached out to me. We met up at Avery Airfield that General Flynn and Boone and I helped set up to bring in and set up a distribution point for people on that side of the county, in Avery County, in this airfield. And Sean Hendricks had got with Elon. And because the only way we could do anything up there was with ham radios.
Yeah.
And Elon, I don't even know how many of his Starlinks he gave out. And Mr. Beast, I can't remember the guy's name. I just know him as Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
But he gave his credit card to Sean Hendricks, and Sean Hendricks went and bought everyone he could, everywhere he could. And he had a pickup truck full of Starlinks. And he's like, help us get these Starlinks out. And we gave 4 to the Black Mountain Children's, so the kids could get back, do their school and all that, get them back online. And then we got a Blackhawk that the only privately owned Blackhawk in the United States was there. They heard we were there. We connected with them, and they're like, we're doing a mission tomorrow. We need you. We'd love for you guys to roll. And we flew with them, and we delivered, and we actually went to a assisted living home that was being people had infiltrated it because all of the workers had left, and they were taking advantage of some old people. We went up there and let's just say
changed their mind.
We removed some people. Let's just say we did a little investigation. We removed some people. We actually worked hand in hand with the local PD, and we just walked in there and set that place straight again.
So I mean, you're just some guy that is just following his heart and taking the steps, walking the path. And here you are involved in all of this amazing stuff. Now, I assume there was something in between that got you to that point where you said, oh, this advocacy thing is a path for me. This resonates with me. What was that moment, and what has that done for you? How has it changed your life?
It all started from that county chairman race. And being so angry at my county for what they did to me as a firefighter and what they were doing to other public safety guys. I had all kinds of horror stories, and I proved it. I wrote the Second Amendment from there. I was like, I want to get into bill writing and understand how that happens and how can we amend and make things better. And I hooked up with 2A guys, and we became the first county in the country that actually put a law on the books for the Second Amendment ordinance.
So how did you learn that skill? Were you finding people that could train you? Was there a class that you took, or like how did that unfold?
I watched a lot. I studied a lot. I looked up everything. Google's great. I mean, I would have never done it with my mom always said, I bought those Botanicas. You go look at them. Go look it up. I would have never done it. It's too much work. But with Google and YouTube and I was lucky after I made that hit on the county chairman and took him out. I got to know some other influential political people, and I was able to use them and learn. And I went to the state capitol a lot and tried to get the feeling of the place, and that was mind blowing because I realized how corrupt it is. And then we started taking people out, and I'm glad to say over the last 6 years we've taken 26 legislators, including the Speaker of the House, out. We've taken 3 senators out of South Carolina, because the biggest problem with me is that we are a conservative state and we have the most liberal conservative supermajority in the country. That bothered me.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean by you took them out? I mean, for people that know you're familiar with your work, that may make total sense. If you're somebody that has no idea who what that entails.
For my FBI agent that's listening, it's politically took them out, primaried them, And it's organizing people. I'm a huge believer in how beautiful our founding fathers were at 25 years old to understand that we need to write "We the People" as big as possible at the top of this piece of paper.
Yeah.
That if you think about that and you stare at it, and I've looked at it, the real one, and I'm like, these guys are 20s in their 20s,
right? And
they wrote "We the People" in real big letters,
right?
And there's no thing in all of my 10 years of politics now, there's nothing that has proven more favorable in changing your civics than "We the People."
It stands the test of time.
It does.
And to think
no money can beat it.
Right. And how brilliant were these men 250 some odd years ago to be able to not only conceive of that, and use the education that they had obtained in that time. And if you think about that, I mean, that's the 18th century. That's crazy, right? And then they craft these documents that are more than poetry. And I think some people would consider them to be more than scripture. I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, this is some intense stuff these guys came up with.
If you get into the Federalist Papers, you get into, the inside, and really read the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our founding documents, it's very cathartic. And you have to understand that history of who they were when they made it. And it's something that, I don't know if I was born with it, but it sits heavy in my heart. And I like the 4th of July. I like apple pie. I love watching the Stars and Stripes be honored and our national anthem. And we have gotten away from that in a lot of ways, and we can all stand there and salute the flag. But how many people can tell me who their sheriff is or their county chairman is?
Right.
And that's where we've found ourselves in the political divide that we have currently. I'm a hardcore conservative. I'll say it up. I'm proud of it. But I'm not proud of a lot of our conservatives. I'm not proud of a lot of the Republicans that are out there. And I've actually taken out more Republicans than I have Democrats, to be honest with you. But I've replaced them with people that believe in "We the People." And that's important to me.
So that's really kind of speaking to something our friend General Flynn often talks about, is that local action produces national impact.
One of the greatest quotes ever, no doubt. I use it everywhere, and it is General Flynn's. But local action, and that's the big thing. Local action has national impact. And that's what that means is, it's amazing how people can talk about Nancy Pelosi and what, glue she uses to keep her dentures in, but they can't tell me who's in their county council or who's their state representative or who's their state senator.
Yeah.
And the real rubber meeting the road in your politics in your local hometown is those local people.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how many social media political experts, gurus, medical providers, everybody. Social media gives you people superpowers to be super awesome, informed on all of these issues. And we're at a point where we're so tribal and so polarized that if you're not going along with what they're putting down, we're somehow now an enemy.
I'm a big believer in that. I said that's my big message right now is we have to stop tribing up. And I make the joke, as an alpha virile man, I've never worn another man's jersey. I'm not walking around with Joe Montana's name on the back of my jersey, because anybody that wore my jersey was either my mom or I was dating her. And I'm not that guy, and that's part of my code, right? And I don't understand how we found ourselves in political tribes to the point where we are willing to attack, destroy, vandal, and kill.
Oh yeah, thank God that Elon Musk gave all those Starlinks to the folks in North Carolina before all the political brouhaha came to where we're now out carving swastikas into Cybertrucks, you find in the parking garage.
My favorite are the ones that wipe their ass on them. I'm just not real sure what. Like, how do you go to
Well, they're pointy.
How do you go to Costco and realize there's a Cybertruck over there and I need to wipe my butt on his Tesla? Yeah. Where have we lost our damn mind?
And that's really the point of this entire series of the podcast that we do. And this is going to be a little bit of an unusual episode for that because it's more of a conversational. Normally, we're kind of a show and tell,
sure,
where we say, hey, here's this modality and here's this master of this craft that practices this, and this is how you can get into it. So some of the idea here and having you in today was to really talk about how you got into advocacy, what that had done for you, what peaks and valleys did you have to navigate before you found something that connected with you in a way that is now providing that spiritual nutrition, that mental nutrition, and that physical nutrition that you need to be the best version of you.
I could have picked a better way because politics is skin on skin fight.
Yeah.
It's been said everything to podcasters saying they have video of me and my wife in an orgy. I posted, please post it today. I want to see it because, but see, it doesn't have to be true in today's world. It just has to hurt.
Yeah, it's slimy.
And that's probably what's made me the overt warrior that I am in politics, is that I'm not your Harvard, political science guy. I'm the guy that has learned politics through the punches.
Yeah.
And I'm trust me, I'm as colorful as I need to be, but at the same time, I'm not trying to speak to the people in the khaki pants and the blue jacket with gold buttons. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to the boys that are wearing grunt style shirts and go to work every day and worry about their family.
Right.
I try to break down the politics that they make so very complicated to the point where people understand it in regards to their own civics. I don't say I'm a journalist. I don't even say I'm an activist or any of that. I am somebody that gives perspective based on the conservative bedrock of who we are as a conservative Judeo-Christian person. And that's where I try to live. I am by no means going to be the guy that's out there going to give you Psalms and preach the Bible to you, because I'm the one on the wall. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to fight the injustices that are involved in our politics.
And, I can resonate with a lot of that. I think I'm cut from a lot of the same cloth.
Sure.
We have a similar background. I grew up in a small town and all of that kind of stuff, and had those same, those pride in what America, the idea of what America is supposed to be is, and it's embodied in the flag. And,
yep.
That means a lot. It means a lot to me personally. It means a lot to.
Well, we've had friends buried under it.
That's exactly right. It's not just a thing. But there are those of us that are hardwired that our Zen is the chaos. Our Zen is...
we thrive in it, yeah.
Yeah, we've got that saying we use, namaste, because we are trying to plug people into meditation. We're trying to plug people into ways of healing. We're trying to help people connect, so we are not burying any more friends under that flag. We're trying to get people connected in ways that are meaningful, and there's modalities that are a little chaotic that can also take you to those same places.
The work you guys do here is it's amazing. We have quickly become very good friends, and I've studied, and I've sat through your guys' spaces, and I've learned so much, and I'm learning about my own healing. Right.
Yeah.
I found my niche that put me back in service, if you will, and that changes daily. Being a part of the conservative caucus and being the national field director, building a civic-minded army across the nation is so fulfilling to me, and understanding that I am doing what the Constitution tells me to. So that's my service. That's where I'm into it. But at the same time, in dealing with the VA and dealing with things, there are that they just want to throw drugs at you, and what Grunt Style Foundation is doing to bring it back to nature and to bring it back how we can heal ourselves is, I think, what every warfighter wants.
That's right.
And instead of looking to somebody else, none of us, and that's the thing, when people talk about veterans, it really bothers me, because not one veteran wants anything. Mm-hmm. We want to be okay.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to left alone and do what we want to do, whether that's going fishing every day or becoming an advocate in politics. Leave me alone. And if you don't, we're going to have a problem. And when society realizes that, and what Grunt Style does with, these natural modalities is going to make a difference. And we're getting closer and closer.
We're close to it, man.
And I'm going to do everything I can politically, having been with Veterans for Trump, and now we have Doug Collins as our secretary. I'm working every angle I can to get Doug Collins to go have a beer with me so that I could, and I post every day about y'all to him. And I know he sees it, and I know that we're getting really close. And I know that what you guys do and what you talk about is no longer the over in the corner.
But we're trying to make it not that.
It is, which is what is phenomenal. It's what you guys have done, because even when I came into it, I'm like, I'm not really, that guy. But at the same time, I am, because I've seen what it does. And my whole goal is to save as many lives as we can. That's always been my goal, from the military to being a firefighter to now the political world I'm in, because I know what it looks like when the government completely goes to a martial law look. It's not pretty. For all of you G.I. Joe, Call of Duty guys are like, yeah, let's bring on the fight.
Yeah, until you're cold and
you're an
wet
idiot,
and sleeping in a mud puddle under a vehicle somewhere, and you figure out what the hell that means as well.
Let me ask you this.
A video game.
When was the first time you heard a bullet hit a piece of concrete behind you?
When was the first time?
Yeah.
Probably April 2007.
You remember it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling all the Call of Duty boys. It isn't the watching somebody get shot. It's when you realize that you're trading bullet for bullet with somebody, and it bounces off a piece of concrete or a building behind you, and you just realize you're in the real.
Well, it makes you. It exposes to yourself of what your convictions actually are. I mean, if you're somebody that's chasing adventure and the call of the romantic notions of going off to foreign lands and doing these things, and then figuring out that it's really just a lot of being uncomfortable and scared.
Right, absolutely, and that's why I advocate on my social media a lot. Like, stop with the Call of Duty stuff, man. You want to be a hero? The people that can fight like hell in the mediocrity of be it politics or advocacy are the real heroes, because they're trying to keep it from what you may not understand, and that is the concept of civil war or uprising or I mean, you're in St. Louis, you guys know a good riot.
We do it well here.
You do very well here, and I believe that that's what you and I put our hand in the sky for. We have taken that oath. It has no expiration, and there's just, I'm trying to give other people that mission, that's what we do.
It takes people like that to make that kind of change. And I think what is special about our audience is everybody understands that's been on the veteran side or the first responder side, or they're on the patriot side and they have family or loved ones that have done that. The family serves just as much as the soldier, the sailor, the Marine, the airman, the Coast Guard guy, the Space Force, I guess now, whatever that is they're doing.
I still don't know.
I think they're out there fighting aliens on the moon, man. I'm not sure.
I hear there's lizard people. Everybody talking about them and somebody brought that up to me the other day. They're like, Chad, you don't seem to care about the lizard people. And I said, no, I do. I just want to know what caliber I need. I don't really give a flip other than that, because I promise you, if a big old toad walks up at 6'4" by my grill back of my house out the water, I just want to know. I'm shooting it. I don't give a flip who you are.
When did you grow up? Did you grow up in the 80s? I don't know how old you are. You're younger than I am.
I'm 49.
How old are you?
49.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I exfoliate.
Man, I hate you young-looking people.
I exfoliate. Somebody laughed over here in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's probably Svetlana.
Yeah, probably. She's kind of mean.
She knows that I exfoliate. It's, it just keeps you young.
Well, you remember V? Remember that show,
they ate the rat?
Yeah, man, they ate the rat. They were like lizard people under the skin.
I had that gun, man. The weird
that
thing was sick. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah, I used to walk around the woods killing all kinds of lizard people back then when I was a little kid. But
So you trained well for where life has taken you.
I've always been one to wants to protect, and look at the weapons that we're using now. I was part of the 15 conservatives on Twitter that was swatted.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about that, because
I want to. Yes,
the reason I wanted to have you on for an episode of Triangular Compass, as out of the box structure of what that program is really intended to be. Advocacy, I don't know how you showcase that other than having this conversation with somebody like you, so we're doing it. But the people like us that have the same kind of similar background, many people in the military do. They're from small rural communities, and God country, apple pie, all that. And they join the military, especially during the GWAT era. because they do remember being in the 80s and watching V and all the cool stuff that we had in the 80s. Where did that country go? It's gone.
It's gone.
And can you imagine the 25 years old of 2025 taking their shot at writing something like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States? I mean,
you know what? That would be kind of interesting.
I mean, maybe they would do it better. I don't know. It's a whole generation that's grown up with like the internet. Now AI is a thing. Like, I don't know how these people aren't just jumping straight to telepathy.
Well, I'm afraid there would be gender affirming care, but there'd be all this crazy stuff in there.
I think so much of that was artificial.
Yeah.
We've seen that through the USAID stuff, and they're funding this group to push this thing, which goes back into the 5G warfare.
Yep.
And for I guess where I want to kind of take this is for people in our audience who are probably honestly likely to get something out of advocacy. They're going to feel that cathartic healing nature of getting engaged and stuff, because we're all kind of hardwired that way.
Yep.
It's not an easy road. Number one, how do you get into it? So let's talk really briefly on that, and then I want to tie back into the swatting.
Sure. I'm glad you did, because now that I am the national field director of the Conservative Caucus, I'm going to give you, I'm going to keep you busy. And what that is it's under the nomenclature as the Conservative Caucus, but at the same time, I just want you to be involved. We're going to have state directors in every state. Those state directors are going to have events. Those events are going to talk about our civic duty. They're going to call out, like our First Amendment was originally written for us to be able to have issue with our elected, and we're going to do it the right way, to the point where a little political fear goes a long way with a rogue elected person to as a constituent. And by political fear, I mean numbers. Numbers are what they're most scared of. Why? Because we the people wins every time. That's why they use the money.
So how does somebody get into advocacy?
So the best thing in my world, hopefully you want to get involved in the conservative thing. You want to get rid of the people that are rhinos, or you want to keep our politics moving in the conservative way, is that you get involved with us at a state level, and we get behind things that are conservative, right? So we get behind the idea that the Second Amendment is very important. I want a Second Amendment ordinance in every county where it's protected to be able to be a part of your Second Amendment. I want to get more involved in the First Amendment aspect of where we can bring back the Smith-Mung Act, where Barack Obama got rid of it, so that our media now has to tell the truth. We need to bring that back. There's so many, and then the censorship aspect of it, to where we are extending hate speech to the concept of saying that I disagree with the Democrat is considered hate speech, or that I'm not going to use your pronouns as an arrestable offense somewhere on this planet. That's scary.
I think it's self-correcting, man. I really do.
I do too.
I keep seeing these videos of these guys that are vandalizing these cyber trucks, and they've all got cameras on them that are like constantly going. So they're just incriminating themselves.
Well, Grandpa Herbie said a long time ago, you can't fix stupid, right? And and damn it if Grandpa Herbie ain't been right for my entire life. But and there's a lot of stupid out there.
Those people are now facing prosecution
up to 30 years
under hate crimes.
Correct.
So like something that was started off as a punchline to a joke in reality as we knew it when that stuff first started coming around, to where it became, you really had to think about what you're doing and what you're saying and where you're saying it, because you may get saddled with that. And now we're in this weird rabbit hole where the white knight is talking backwards, everything's upside down, and now those kinds of people that we think of as sharpening their knives, waiting for that opportunity to stab you, are now being prosecuted as hate crimes.
Well. So I want to go back to something you said. It's self-correcting, right?
Yeah, seems to be.
That scares me, and let me tell you why. Because the idea of self-correction is not in 3D. It's only singular. There's so many different issues that we need to be cognizant of in order to correct. And the self-correcting ones, people are like, I'm good. It's self-corrected. Instead of putting in the work, I'm never ever going to say that Donald Trump, a Democrat, or anybody else is the shiny knight on a white horse. It says we the people at the top of the Constitution. When it comes to your political anything,
it's everybody.
It's everybody. And when we have during midterms 20%, 14% voting in midterms and primaries, we got a problem. We the people aren't being represented because we the people are apathetic. This isn't Joe Biden's fault. This isn't Barack Obama's fault. This isn't Trump's fault. This isn't anybody's fault other than we choose not to engage.
Well, you know, you may be in a good position to actually kind of illuminate that part of the issue as well.
Sure.
As you know, I've voted pretty much every opportunity, at least on the national stage, that I've had while I was in the military or out. And you know, when you get down to the state level docket, and we've already identified that local action equals national impact.
Yep.
You know, where are these? You know, you don't know who these people are for the most part. You know, you're generally voting either just, I'm a Democrat, I'm going to vote for my Democrat guy, I'm a Republican, I'm going to vote for my Republican guy. But who are they? I don't know. They must be here because they're good. What's really going on? How does this game actually work? And I know that you are uniquely qualified to talk about this because of the work that you do down your way. How do these people come onto that platform to be even in consideration? I know there is a game beyond the game.
There
and that is probably where, in my estimation, a lot of the problem actually is rooted.
I wish I had a whiteboard. I could do the FAFO thing where we figure it out. But we'll do that one for another podcast. But,
all right.
So you said that you voted in the Nationals, right? Everybody votes in the Nationals. That's why I say everybody knows what Bras Eyes Nancy Pelosi is, but they couldn't tell me who their county legislator is. So we look at the Bush League, right? Mm-hmm. Bush League is your county, your party. To its minutia, it's your county party, where it's probably a bunch of blue hairs walking around drinking coffee, acting like they're in charge of stuff. But actually, as it's set up in our two-party system, and I don't care what libertarians or anybody else says, it's a two-party system.
Sure.
If you are not, see, this is the things that drive me crazy. Like people are like, well, I'm a libertarian, I'm not an independent. You got to earn my vote. Why would you do that when you would not join the party that is most like you and make it in your image? You have the right to do that during reorganization, during to be a precinct committeeman, because you want to realize why we have all these idiots in Washington that think Guam's going to flip over if we put 18,000 more Marines on it. That's an actual statement that was made by
Ron Johnson.
Yeah, from Georgia.
Yeah.
Go to your local your local party meeting. You're going to see why these people are stupid. Because stupid people are running it. Because the people that actually understand the commonsensical things that we deal with in our home, in our work, in our everyday, they're not retired and they're not blue-haired and they're not taking the time to get involved and engaged in their local party in order to bring about good elected people. You know how many people are out there walking the earth right now that would probably be phenomenal senators, but they're like, I'm not getting involved in that.
Yeah, why would you want to?
Because we haven't done the job to clean it out.
Yeah.
That's like saying as a firefighter, right? We get a rookie at a firehouse. They're terrible. You don't learn anything at rookie school. You learn it at the firehouse. But that would be like us having one good captain and a whole bunch of rookies and him just staying in the captain's office and not training up those rookies. He's probably going to get somebody killed, if not all of them. And the thing is, we do the same thing with our politics. We just say, I'm going to vote for Washington, but I don't know what the hell's going on in my county. When that county is the one sending representation to Washington. We do it backwards.
Right.
Why? Because MSNBC, CNBC, CBS, Fox News, they all cover that. Mm-hmm. They don't cover it on the local. And the local isn't as exciting or whatever people get into to be a politico or a pundit. And that's where I started with my first podcast is I just did South Carolina and Horry County. And I exposed to everything. And I was just a guy that my wife showed how to go live on Facebook.
How did that catch fire? Because
I was exposing real receipts. And people are like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that because the media's not going to tell you.
What kind of pushback did you get from the establishment at the county level, if there is such a thing?
They wrote stuff about me and this, and that's why I say, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the greatest person in the world and give you scripture. I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible person that is trained to do very cool things for the good of my society. Mm-hmm. And I say it that way, and people are like, don't say you're a terrible person. You did all this in North Carolina. You know, I did the sandbags when we had Hurricane Floyd and Matthews, and we ran the biggest sandbag operation in South Carolina. My record stands on its own. I don't need you to tell me I'm a good person, but I will fight like hell for what is right for the betterment of my society. And that's where I live. And when you don't put yourself on a pedestal, you don't have far to fall. So when they come after me, they come after with anything. They say that I said this and they twist the words around, or the media will say that they'll make stuff up. The only thing they haven't come out with is that I sleep with animals. I think that's the only thing that they haven't put out there with yet. And, you know, that's probably coming in the next cycle. Who knows? But it doesn't bother me either, because I'm like, okay, put it up. Prove it.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, you're not just talking shit here either. I mean,
I talk a lot of shit, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not just...
I'm a big shit poster. Go to my Twitter.
Well, I don't mean in that respect. I mean in the fact that, you know what it means for somebody to come after you. You know, it's been here all over the national news recently, where different political figures from the conservative side of the spectrum have been on the receiving end of something they call swatting. Yeah. And you were one of those individuals that was on the receiving end of that. Could you tell us about that in general, and then also specifically what happened to you?
Yeah, and I'll precipice that with saying, you know, I am out front in a loud way, right? And there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with taking the bullets and the things coming at me, you know, the political bullets and the write-ups, and say whatever you want. I don't give a damn. Yeah. I know who I am, and the people that know me know who I am. And I'm okay with that. But I don't want everybody to think if they get into advocacy, they're going to have to deal with that. Right. You're not.
We don't want to scare them off.
We just need you to be in the right place at the right time and help us do stuff. We'll take the bullets, you know, and that's what I do. But being a part of that and being that influence that's out there and doing shows all the time and getting involved in those politics, having been on President Trump's coalition for Veterans for Trump, the largest, by the way, hoorah to the veterans that came out. We had the largest coalition with with Trump's campaign. They came after me, and they have 1,000 times over locally. Lindsey Graham is no fan of mine. Let me tell you, Lady G hates me. I have to say it that way. I'm sorry, but there was 15 of us in a week span that were all swatted, and they were all from, you know, the really big influencers like Cat Turd on Twitter, Gunther Engelman, another huge account, to smaller accounts like Sean Farash, who's one of the biggest Trump impersonators, and he's very involved in GOP politics. And if it wasn't for Gunther and Sean, I'd probably be dead today. I'll be honest with you. Friday night, I talked to my wife and said, you know, a couple of our buddies have been swatted here recently, and this is crazy. And I called them and asked them what happened. And I had a conversation with my wife. I said, we might get swatted. And she's like, don't put that out in the universe. Why would you say that? I mean, she gave me the business, right? And and I told her, but do you know what to do? And she's like, no. And I told her, grab Diesel, our dog, you know, put him in the bathroom, shut the door, because they'll shoot the dog and say, I'm sorry. Because I have a 71-pound pit bull. It's going to come out the door like a fur missile when you're banging on my house or whatever happens in a swatting. And then we talked about it that Friday. And then on St. Patrick's Day, 3 a.m. in the morning, it sounded like somebody was driving a pickup truck through my front door. They were beating on the door so hard. Please don't shoot my wife. Please don't shoot my wife. There's nobody in here. I'm being swatted right now.
This all reportedly started as a call for an armed break-in at Caton's home, one that since turned out to be a hoax, and one that could be a part of a larger trend happening nationwide. Caton tells me critics have been targeting conservative influencers like him over the past week, reporting fake crimes over the phone to law enforcement in the hopes of sending heavily armed police responses to the homes of their targets.
Is there anyone else inside the house? My mom or my wife? She's putting my dog in the closet right now. Okay.
It's something Caton says is completely unacceptable, and it's prompting him to call on people in his community to be better in the future.
This isn't a game. And we're talking about people's lives. For what? Because I like Donald Trump? Really? It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. And it's dangerous. The alarms were going off. I couldn't hear that it was police. I got up. I grabbed my sidearm next to my bed. Kind of sat. My wife jumped out of bed. Diesel's going nuts. And then I said, SWAT, SWAT, SWAT 3 times. I realized we were being swatted. Elizabeth, you talked to her. She's like, no, I wasn't scared.
No, that woman's got ice in her blood.
She does. She's redhead Italian, man. It was scary.
Yeah.
I'm only scared of 2 things, the Lord our God and her.
Yeah.
And yeah, she got up and she went right into protocol and took Diesel to the right place. And then I went outside and...
That's not a little thing, man.
No.
That's not a little thing to have the presence of mind. And people have kicked your front door in. You've got lights
they didn't kick it in.
From...
They're kicking it. Yeah, they were hitting it. They didn't open the door.
Well, even worse, if they're making the bangs. I mean, you know,
bad.
I would feel probably like I'd just crawl under the covers and, close my eyes and count to 10 and hope I wake up.
Well, here's where I say it saved my life, right? Because when you come out of my bedroom is the living room. And I realized I was being swatted because the lights were coming through all the windows, even with the blinds. It lit up the house from their M4s. And I said, we're being swatted. I dropped my sidearm next to the bed. I stood up and I walked out into the living room, and I had a sliding glass door with the curtains open. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I got to that sliding glass door, I got lit up with a lasers on me, lit up with a flashlight, you put on the end of your M4, those good 1,000 watters or whatever. Right. And they're screaming at me to put my hands up. And the call that came in from the swatter was that I was injured and I was hiding and there are gunmen in my home. So what did the swatter do? You said it earlier, they took me out of the equation. So if I come out with a gun and they see me, I'm the assailant.
Oh, yeah, you're the assailant. You're going to catch some rounds.
If I wouldn't have had that conversation with Gunther, Beard Vet, Sean Georges, and Sean Farash from their swatting, I wouldn't have had that presence of mind, because as a politico, somebody that's been threatened hundreds of times, I'm very vigilant in the protection of my home. I live in South Carolina. My protocol would be somebody's banging on your door, I'm going to empty a magazine in that front door. I'm not going to go see who's out there kicking in my door. I would never think that the FBI or police or anybody is actually swatting me. I don't sell drugs. I'm not doing guns. So I'm thinking somebody's trying to kill me. So my protocol would have dictated I would have came around the corner and emptied that magazine. And if I would have came around that corner from my bedroom with that gun in my hand, I'd be dead in my living room right now.
That's very likely.
That is probably 80%
It would not be
sure.
the first time that the cops have killed somebody. No. They were there to help.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Protocol needs to be fixed. Because I asked him, why didn't you just ring the doorbell? I think my neighbor, I was a medic. My neighbor may be sick. They know that I have medical training. They know as a firefighter, maybe somebody's house is on fire. They're ringing my doorbell. Something along those lines would tell me, if somebody's coming to kill me, they're probably not going to ring my doorbell.
Well, to be fair to it, and on the other side of the thought exercise, I guess there, if I were wounded and I did have assailants in my house, I would want SWAT to come in, mean business, because seconds could matter. So but it's complex.
Is ringing the doorbell and banging on the door any different?
No, it's. I mean, not
so
in all
when you're banging on the doorbell
scenarios.
like they were. It to me it felt like somebody was kicking in the door, not knocking.
Oh, sure. I mean, for you, and I guess that's where this is where the rabbit hole goes, right?
Right.
This was intentionally done. Somebody thought this through. I'm going to tell them that I'm Chad Caton and I'm wounded in my home, and there's assailants that are armed. They're going to be coming through quickly to, number one, neutralize whatever threat is there, and then number two, save your life. That's why they're coming in hard and aggressive. That's premeditated murder. If that were to have gone down that
attempted,
way.
Yeah, absolutely. Attempted murder.
It's certainly attempted murder. So that said, what happened next after you've got all these lights and lasers on your chest and...
We went through protocol that we established 2 days earlier, and I said I would go deal with the cops, make sure you get Diesel, our dog, in a locked space, be it the master closet or bathroom, and then you just listen to the cops. And I didn't know what that would look like, right? Because I didn't expect the back door guy. And when he said go to the front through the sliding glass door, I kept my hands up, didn't have a phone in my hand. I was in my boxers.
Yeah.
I went to the front, and I put my hands out the door slowly. They told me to walk towards them. There was 3 people there with M4s, trained down the kind of like a hallway to my front door, a walkway. And I walked past them. Somebody grabbed me with my hands up and put me in handcuffs in my driveway against my garage door. And then I was able to look behind me to the front door, thinking my wife was right behind me. She wasn't. And they're all yelling, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? And I'm like, it's Chad Caton. This is political. There's nobody in my house. There's nothing happening. They're like, okay. And they're all still, and I'm watching this guy with the M4 shaking like a leaf. And we talked about this earlier, man. You're at the range, you see somebody shaking. That's at the range. Now you're in a situation, you're seeing somebody shake. You're like, look, bro, chill. Yeah. And I'm literally standing behind him, and I see my wife coming to the front door. She put her hands in the window like I'd showed her. She opened the door, put her hands out, and I'm literally looking down this officer's AR, and still sucks, man. He's pointing it right at her forehead. And I just kept saying to him, please don't shoot my wife. Please don't shoot my wife. And then he finally yelled back at me. He's like, I'm not going to shoot your wife. And
then how about you not point your gun at my wife's forehead there, killer?
You know, all the things we've seen and done, you know, and that's still, but I said it earlier today. I can finally say it without getting emotional, but I know the weapon frame. Yeah, you know, I'm sitting there watching him. I'm watching him shake. He looked like he was 20 years old. He's a young cop, and I'm just whispering in his ear, please don't shoot my wife. And my wife came out in her pajamas and walked down that hallway to the officers. They said, who else is in there? I said, my dog is to the right. He's in the master bathroom, blah, blah, blah. And then I started saying, don't shoot my dog. Don't open that door. I'll open it, whatever. Just don't shoot my dog. He's friendly, you know, all this. And they lined up full kits, and they, you know, hand on shoulders, and they cleared my home. And then they came out and they're like, oh yeah, we thought that this probably was, you know, this is obviously a swatting. We didn't hear the dog. There was no lights on. We kind of figured that this was probably a BS call. And I'm like, but the way you came at my house would have got me killed if I would have grabbed my gun. Yeah, and we're talking South Carolina. Yeah. South Carolina, you step 4 foot on my property, I got the castle law if you're coming with intent, right? So for me if I would have levied my gun, he would have killed me. And that was my protocol to protect my family. And
had your friends who had also been swatted not briefed you on this, and had you not talked to your wife about what, you know, this game plan would be in the contingency that this happens, that's likely what would have happened.
Well, we got very lucky because we were vigilant. And in my world, being a political pundit and somebody that is out there giving that perspective that others may not like in the tribalism world we just spoke about, right? I have to be vigilant with the family and the people around me. And I mean, you saw us when we were in North Carolina. I was lock, stock, and ready to rock. You know, I mean, we're out there trying to help people. Right. But this was something that was so disgusting. And then later that day, they started sending pizzas. That's their calling card. They start sending you hundreds of pizzas, or I think that the record is 118 pizzas delivered or ordered to somebody swatted by the swatters.
And Domino's or Pizza Hut or Papa John's or whoever's delivering the pizzas, they're not thinking, but this is the biggest order we've ever filled.
Well, no. They're coming one at a time. From different, maybe Papa John's, groups. Pizza Hut, Grubhub, whatever.
It's a lot of effort.
There's somebody working very hard. Here's the rub. This is why this is absolute attempted murder. Because in the suggestion or the notes area on the receipts, they're saying, you know, they deliver it at 12 o'clock at night, you know, and it'll say, in the back, knock hard.
Yeah, just to mess with you.
No, they're trying to get them killed now.
Oh, I see.
Think about it. We just got swatted.
Right.
Now you're banging on the door. We know that a swatter group is out there or somebody. So is the next one going to be the one that they're coming to hurt my family?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Either way, they're putting all of these people in trepidation.
That's a good point.
Based off of what? ideology
or money.
Well, that could be too.
So let's go down that rabbit hole. That's not just somebody that really dislikes Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Chad Caton. This is somebody that you are part of a larger game that's being played, and you are a pawn on a chessboard to be taken.
Correct.
Who did that? Who's behind it? Who's your list of the top? So you don't have to name specifics, of course, because we wouldn't ask you to do that. But I mean,
we have an understanding of there's other evidence that I'm not going to lay out because we want to keep it into the investigation. At the end of the day, I believe that this is we're with some of the evidence that's out there. This is absolutely far left. The people that are doing this, they are organized. We're not sure if they're funded by somebody important, but we feel like they are because it's well done by people that are very computer savvy and tech savvy. And I actually believe that it could be because of foreign policy or will be foreign in the end.
I see.
But.
Well, give us 6 months. Let all that die down, and when you
I
have
hope in
the
6
goods,
months you're going to see me sitting in a courtroom, and we've got the perp sitting there along with his team.
Well, when that happens, come back and tell us the whole story when you can.
Well, I will, and I'm excited because Cat Turd. This is the 4th time he's been swatted.
Poor Mr. Turd.
Poor Mr. Turd, yeah. He's got cool friends, though. I'll give him that. Between Kid Rock and John Rich, Cat Turd's doing all right.
Yeah, man, he's in good company.
He's in great company, and he's a great guy. He has 2 swatters sitting in prison right now.
Really? He got him?
He got him, I think it was 4 years ago. Yeah, they caught those guys.
So that sounds like that was probably some kind of a more amateur attempt. This is what you're describing.
Yeah.
That's on an industrial scale, man.
Yeah, this is an industrial scale because I think we're at 17 or 18 people swatted now over a month. And luckily, we thought the 2 that were swatted a couple nights ago, we were afraid it was going to keep going. And we call ourselves the swatted. We're all in a DM room talking to each other, giving evidence, talking to each other to try to get this figured out.
Yeah.
And we have decided that we are going to advocate very heavily. And I'll just say it here, if you are an influencer or you feel that you could be swatted at some time, the rub and the way to protect yourself is to call your local 911 non-emergent line and say, I'm an influencer. I'm afraid I could get swatted with what's going on because they all should have got an FBI directive saying that this is happening nationally across the nation.
Had they not?
We believe they have. I mean, I'm not in those rooms, and they're not going to give you much. I still haven't got my 911 call. I haven't even got to hear it yet.
Have the authorities shared anything with you?
They have. I've talked to a couple. I have not had an FBI agent come to me particularly yet, but I have spoke to other people that were swatted. FBI agent. My name is in the game. And I'm when I get back to South Carolina, I'm going to call my local FBI office personally and open an investigation myself. You got to remember, one of my very good friends and mentors is General Michael Flynn, former DNI.
Right. And I'm sure
so
he's tracking.
I have a pretty good idea of how fast we can find a swatter.
And I'm guessing he probably has thoughts on the swatting.
Yeah, General Flynn was next day.
Yeah.
Next day.
He's a good man.
He's a phenomenal man.
I really respect the hell out of that guy. And, we did an interview when we were all there in North Carolina together here a few months back. We interviewed General Flynn. And I've been an admirer of his for quite a while, and I think it was just tragic the way the man was treated during President Trump's first term. General Flynn, I believe he was a longtime Democrat actually, and now he's in the middle of this other weird thing, to where I talk to people that are very much in the matrix, as I like to say, where they can't really put the identity politics behind them. It's still very much part of what drives them. Man, the hate for that dude that is just so misguided and is just so wrapped into the narrative of, what the original hubbub was about him that led to, his leaving office under the first term. people are very much still under that impression.
There's a lot of dumb people out there. Like Grandpa Herbie said, you can't fake stupid. So, and the thing is the proof has been put out, and they choose not to, because then this is another big part of the tribalism, right? Yeah. Once you find your tribe and you've picked your target, and you spent 2 years going after that target, and then when you realize everything about that target is wrong, and the people that were feeding you that was lying to you,
right?
It's hard to swallow your pride and realize that you've been coming after a man and a family for so long that you can't walk away from it. So you double down.
Well, you need it to be true at that point.
You need it to be true.
It's like the whole COVID nonsense with the jabs.
Sure.
And, I mean, man, God Almighty, was that brutal? That the whole, if you don't conform, you're going to lose your job. There was people that were booted out of the military. There was, all these things. And now I think we're at a point where we have enough hindsight to where we know, like, guys, maybe we got a little carried away with that whole thing. And we didn't need to divide families, and people didn't need to be not invited to holidays and all the things that, the stories that people share. But that's to the point we got. And, we were definitely in the dehumanization stage at that point.
So, we've touched in all, and that's part of 5G warfare. Is you're gonna show, and that's part of it. Like, the operation is going to dehumanization. Is it biting yet? That didn't bite. We got to go back.
Somebody sending somebody through your front door as a swatting attempt. I think that's beyond the dehumanization level. That does go to the killing. So I think we're there, man.
I think it's safe to say that we're on the precipice, and I'll hold back a little bit more on more of a geopolitical or over the country. Yeah. But back to General Flynn, I want to tell this one caveat.
Sure.
I'm actually here to bury my father. My dad died 6 weeks ago, and he wants to be buried. He's been cremated, and my family and I are going to back up to Illinois, and we're going to bury him next to Grandpa Herbie, and in the family plot. And the day it happened, I talked to my dad. He was kind of in that transition to hospice, and he said, I said, Dad, I've been invited to Mar-a-Lago with General Flynn.
I remember when this happened.
And General Flynn was being honored at this great event for the Veterans Parade that's going to happen in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And General Flynn beautifully asked for me and Boone to accompany him to this phenomenal event, and my lovely wife got to go. And he goes, and I remember my dad looked at me, he's like, you got to go. Go, I'll be here, don't worry about it. I got off my first flight, and I got a text from my sister saying my dad's gone.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to be with my family. And I was kind of stuck at that point. And I was going to go back, and my family's like, no, we're going to take care of this. And at the same time, I was like, you know what? Dad wanted me to go anyway.
Yeah.
The first thing with 1,000 people in there that was there to see General Flynn and recognize him for his work and make him the Grand Marshal of the Veterans Parade in D.C. this summer. First thing he did at his hotel, said, meet me at my hotel. And he came down, he took time with me. He said, tonight is going to be that much more important for your dad. And he made it about that. Boone even stood up in the middle of Mar-a-Lago and gave a toast to my dad. He's got the whole world around him. Mar-a-Lago, he's going to be this Grand Marshal. All these people are pawning at him. And all he cared about was this guy's.
Well, it's a sign of a good leader, man.
I will fight to the death for General Michael Flynn and what he's done for me and my family, what he's done for me personally. Bringing Boone into my life, who's a huge mentor to me. You guys, that I owe so much to General Michael Flynn, and he's never asked me for anything except to be there.
Yeah.
I take that back. He did ask me to go on tour with him for a month, and and who wouldn't, right? And that was such a learning experience for me. But I don't think people understand in our politics how the people in the politics are human too.
Yeah.
General Flynn is a lovely man that cares deeply about his family and country. And people need to remember that before you try to put him through something that is even maybe not true.
Right.
But we don't do that because of the tribe and up, and that there's two sides, and we have to fight and blah, blah, blah. We don't.
And it's going to take getting, people like yourself getting involved in this kind of work out of that passion, trying to.
Well, as you can see, I'm very passionate about it.
Well, that's what
I've lost a lot.
That's what you need.
Honestly.
So let me ask you this. Is it worth it?
Absolutely. Sorry. You can cut that out.
That's all right. We say those kinds of things.
Absolutely. I've never, ever would take back anything that I have accomplished, done, mistakes I've made, pain I've felt, public scrutiny that has come across. I'd like to take back the swatting. I wish that never happened to my wife. Yeah. I've always said that I would run against Lindsey just to kick his ass, just to be able to stand up there. And wouldn't that be a fun debate? I bet we could get rid of the national debt on that pay-per-view. But I don't want to put my wife and my family through that, right? Because I know the machine that would come after me. So
that's a good question too, and then we'll probably need to start wrapping it up here. We're getting long on it, but I'm so fascinated with this conversation, and I want to ask: was there a path here for Chad Caton where he goes from citizen activist to political aspirant?
I've actually been handed checks for campaigns saying we're going to back you.
Yeah. Where would you start? If you were going to run for office, are you going to run for dog catcher, city council, school board, U.S. senator? Where are you going?
I've been asked that question a lot, and I would tell you right off the rip that at one point was an easy question for me, but it's no longer easy. And the reason why I say that is the right leader for the right particular elected position at that time is ever changing, and part of me thinks I could, I always thought I'd be a good county councilman because I'd protect our public safety that I believe are hunted, and I say hunted based on a budget across this country, and I wouldn't let that happen. But at the same time, having spent more time in the national realm, I mean, you wouldn't like me sitting next to AOC in a committee. And that's what we need right now. We need bruisers up there. We need people that are going to be able to look at Adam Schiff and say, not today, Satan. And I mean, the disgusting things that are happening with us trying to bring back foreign folks and saying that they weren't given due process. Well, you got due process in El Salvador, where he is a citizen. It's amazing how we prostitute words to make it fit our narrative, and it happens on both sides. And it's what causes the divide. That's why I try to call a spade a spade. People are like, well, let's go after all the judges that disagree with Trump. No, that's not what we're doing. Let's make Trump have a third run, or he could be president for another 4 years. No, I will be a part of him leaving that White House. We have our system, we have our rules, our laws, and it has to be good for all both sides. And we have to be arbiters of both sides to keep it real. So to say that, I just do this for Trump. No, Trump's not the shiny knight on a white horse. He's, in my world, bringing about the retribution that I think is important and stabilizing things that are necessary that I agree with. But at the same time, he's not the end-all, be-all. I'm about making America first and keeping our young people out of foreign wars. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I sound like a freaking hippie. But I'm telling you right now, we have to stop with the waste, fraud, and abuse that is brought on by the blood of young Americans.
Yeah, war's a racket, man.
There you go. And the military-industrial complex, it's time for them to
go.
And we need to get first thing I would do if I was king for a day is I would tell every one of those lobbyists on K Street, you're gone, and I'd turn that entire street into the America's fast food street, Every fast food joint in the country gets to put a restaurant right where these lobbyists had their offices. And so that we can say, this is why we're fat. This is Maha Street now. And everybody go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and Taco Bell, you know, and get your emos, you know. Yeah. But
I don't think they have emos out east.
I don't think they, well, for a reason. But but at the same time, you know.
Anybody not from St. Louis is not going to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Leo's guy. That's a Jacksonville thing. So we'll break it down even more geopolitically. But, you know, where I will probably never run. To come back to that, I'll probably never run because just being somebody on a microphone and a headset and radio and influencing and doing what I'm doing. They tried to kill my wife the other day.
Yep. Comes down to it.
And I promise you right now, if I said I was running for the U.S. Senate against Lindsey effing Graham, that machine would be so heavy on me and coming at me. I don't have the millions of dollars to go at him. I don't. Lindsey is a very dangerous person. And it's because of that military industrial complex and who he and what he represents. And you can see it every day. He goes on Hannity. And I will stand behind that, and I will go out there and I will pundit, and I will expose him for everything that he is or she is or whatever she's doing, Lady G, and I will show him for exactly who he is. He knows exactly who I am, and that in itself is dangerous enough. But for me to run against him would be, it would probably be very, 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 very dangerous. And if I was not married, I'd do it in a heartbeat. In a flipping heartbeat, man.
Yeah, you got priorities, and you know what's important in your life.
I try to show the American people that I'll stand out front no matter what, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to bring anything on anybody else.
Right.
I understand when I say the abrasive things I say and calling these people out, these dangerous people. I'm cognizant of what can happen. That's why I am vigilant.
Yeah.
But when it comes on people that don't deserve it, like my wife, you know, my family, my neighbors. I mean, my neighbors are like, what the hell? You know, that's when I have to take I have to pump some brakes in order to make sure that I can alleviate that happening, because whatever I put myself in is on me. Yeah. I'm not trying to put it on anybody else other than educating, activating, and motivating people to be involved in their civics. That's all I've ever wanted to be a part of, under the guise of what General Flynn has always said. Local action has national impact.
So we know you don't regret it.
No.
Has it been beneficial for your mental health, getting engaged in this arena, along with all the things you've experienced?
Hell yes, it has. I have purpose.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much fun for a guy that is like Lindsey Graham to go to Pickens, South Carolina, get up there on stage with Donald Trump, and we had it all figured out. We had the state ready to go, and the minute he hit that lectern, he is booed for 3 minutes. Letting the people of South Carolina, who send a lot of young people to the military, let him know in his own backyard. I made Lindsey Graham and so many other people. I'm not saying it was just me, but we made Lindsey Graham, who is a detriment to this country, in my opinion, to the safety of its youth in any way, shape, or form, on the guise of wanting to send us to foreign wars and making that a military-industrial complex richer. We did a benefit that went viral. He punched the lectern. I watched him break who he was as the slick politician that has really done nothing. And I watched him punch a lectern and walk off the stage. That day right there, I went and got the biggest ribeye I've ever seen in my life, and I cooked the shit out of it with Toby Keith blaring from my speakers in my house saying, today America got to say something. Today America got to show these entrenched oligarchies that take a page out of Bernie Sanders' little lectern speech and get rid of them. These establishment people that want nothing to do with the American people and want to continue to benefit them and theirs. And that's not what it's supposed to be. We won that day. And those little battles have made my life worth living, has given me purpose. And it's not near as fun as driving a pumper down, 17 business in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at 50 miles an hour, blaring that cue. But at the same time, the wins are worth it. And I've had some really amazing ones standing next to President Trump. I was in West Palm when he won. I was I was a big part of the South Carolina run. Some good, cool things have happened, but the fights have been made.
Crazy things.
I'm the Forrest Gump of politics.
Crazy people, man. You're just the people in your orbit are amazing.
Yeah, I've got great people around me, and they're all. I learned from them all. I don't know that General Flynn's learned anything from me, but I try to make him laugh at least.
I know you do that. I've seen that firsthand.
That was my call sign on the tour. I was General Flynn's emotional support animal. I could always make him laugh. So that's a Seabee and me being the only Navy guy on the whole tour. But and it goes back to again what we started this whole conversation. That says we the people at the top of the Constitution, not them and their people.
Right.
And when we, the American people, make that realization and we understand the minute things we have to do to make we, the people, come to fruition once again for the betterment of this country, it's impossible for us not to recognize. Impossible. And when we do recognize that, waste, fraud, abuse, and the swamp will be gone.
Well, I tell you what, man, I can tell you're convicted. I can tell that it makes your soul sing.
I've only been convicted twice. They were DUIs. I had a drinking problem when I got out of the military, but I fixed it.
Yeah, there you go. So if you had, let's speak to the veteran or whoever may be out there that's looking for a path.
Yeah, man.
And they think, man, this guy is living high adventure with all these crazy cast of characters and the high drama and the battles and even the bad things like the SWAT stuff. It's still adrenaline. It's still like a movie-ish. And they want to get involved in something like that. How do they do it?
Go to the conservativecaucus.org, sign up, and you will personally be invited into the fight. And that fight is going to be to educate, activate, and motivate your community. Each individual, especially my veterans, our veterans, right? You've all been natural born leaders. You've been taught also.
What if there's somebody that doesn't identify as conservative? Maybe they want. Maybe they're on the left side of the house and they want to get involved in advocacy.
On a personal level, I hope that you are more apt to be like me and find that commonality within your party. I would ask you to go change your party.
Yeah.
Join your Democratic Party and bring it back to something that we all could work with.
Are they set up different?
Not really.
Like there's kind of a mirror image on both sides of how it works?
Funny story. I really wanted to know that answer, so I tried to infiltrate the DNC in South Carolina. And, well, my hair kind of got me recognized, and so it didn't really work. Yeah. But I have had other people. I've talked to other people. I have other Democrats that I do talk to on a regular basis. I debate with them in a lot of it. Some of them, it's impossible to talk to. But at the same time, there are Democrats out there that, and you're seeing it now with the 20% approval rating with Democrats right now. I think they're looking at themselves very closely and saying, what do we need to change, right? Yeah. Because they've recognized we the people are starting to move away from them. Look at Flip Chicago Black or Flip Chicago Red. The black community is actively working to get away from the Democratic Party. You have Latinos for America First working Chicago and Texas, bringing the Latino vote to the Republican Party, two of the biggest groups that moved towards Trump, along with the youth. They thought they had Gen Z. Gen Z is tired of being skinny jean wearing and told they need to be more feminine. They don't want that. And they found a home in the Republican Party where we want you to be a strong man and be a part of your society in that male way, right? And if that makes me a misogynist, have at it. My Twitter is I'm fired up #2. Go ahead and send me the hate. I don't care. But it's one of those things right now where I think everything's in place. And for those veterans and just regular people, go find your DNC. You're not going to find a really good home at the Conservative Caucus, but if you want to understand what the Conservative Caucus is about, because remember when I said in the beginning, we're not that far off from each other.
Right. I think we have more in common than we have apart.
Trump's entire cabinet almost are former Democrats.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Two of our biggest Republican presidents that have been talked about as great presidents, whether you like them or not, Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, both former Democrats.
Yeah.
And you know why? It's because there isn't that block of not choosing the other team. They've played on both teams. They know what's wrong on both teams. They know what's right on both teams, and they found themselves in a home in the Republican Party under the guise of conservative pretext. There's things that Trump does that aren't overtly conservative, and I can appreciate that. But what it's about for me right now is finding some semblance of commonality for us to bring common sense back to the American people. And that's where I want everybody to get involved. You may not want to be a conservative, but I believe in the American spirit. I believe in the American people, that even if you identify as a Democrat, you're going to bring and you get involved. I believe that if we bring an 80 percentile of the American people back into their civics, we are going to find ourselves closer and closer to the center of the aisle than we are going to find ourselves in the extreme right or the extreme left. And that's what we have to get away from, anything that says extreme except X Games.
Gotcha. Well, Chad, it's been fascinating talking to you today, my friend. Where can people find you?
I don't like telling people where I'm at because people do want me dead. But.
Well, but not the swatters, maybe. But if they want to connect with you online,
they'll always find me in a Grunt style T-shirt. That's for sure.
That's true.
And I do want to put this out there. I want to thank Tim and Grunt style. I told you earlier, when I wasn't able to wear a uniform every day, I found my uniform in Grunt style. It speaks for me. I put my shirt on, and it has opened up so many communication because somebody reads my shirt. I told you about when I was on the airplane today. They saw the crossed rifles. He's like, "You infantry?" And him and I had a great conversation just based off the shirt. Grunt Style is an amazing brand, and I hope to be able to rep it for as long as I can with y'all because it's a part of me. It is my new uniform because I'm able to show. And like I told you, there's some people that read a shirt and they're like, "Never mind, I don't want to talk to that guy," which is great. Also, it works in so many different ways.
Maybe that's the intention.
It is the intention, and I appreciate everybody at Grunt Style and Tim and the foundation, and thank you for letting me come on board with y'all and do what I can to help in any way.
Well, it's been an adventure, and I greatly admire you. I greatly love the work that you're doing. I consider you a friend.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure I will know you for a good while to come. I think there's many adventures ahead for us.
There's a lot of adventures still to be had, and the beautiful part is that you want to have those adventures. You want to continue to better the warfighter community, and I know how important it is to you, and that is contagious.
We're pretty convicted, man.
And it's contagious. I mean, I've jumped on anything I could to help in any way, and I always will. And I believe in what you guys do and what you represent. Like I said, I don't own any other T-shirts. I don't even own a Trump T-shirt. Do you know that?
I did not.
I do not even own a Trump T-shirt. I wear my Grunt Style everywhere, and it all depends on what I'm wearing that day, on how I feel. And when I get on the plane, I like saying, "Come and take it."
Right.
So either way, but everybody can find me. I used to have a podcast. I don't, but the Twitter I use all the time is my Twitter. I'm fired up. And the number 2, the actual number 2, because they killed my first one. So you'll see me sitting there like this because I always look like I have a headache. And we do Lost Spaces. I like to go out there and talk to people. And I do a lot of media hits. I'm doing a lot more media hits now with the Conservative Caucus and what we're trying to accomplish and build. And but Twitter's, if you really want to cuss me out, Twitter's the place to do it.
All right. How do people find the Conservative Caucus?
Go to theconservativecaucus.org. We actually got a new website be launching here the next couple of days. You can go there and you can sign up, and your state director will contact you and get you in the fold. And we're going to do cool events all over the place, man. I think the best way to bring people to their civics is to show them that it's not the boring civics class that you had to take in school, right? That's one of the things I like about Reawaken with General Flynn, who spoke all over the country, and that's what I do when I speak. I do get the opportunity to speak all over the country, and I'm not there to push my red pill. I am there to educate, activate, and motivate every American citizen to get involved in their civics in order to protect what they love and what they believe is important to be an American. And that's where we have countries from all over the world, 190 countries, trying like hell to get into this country because we are still the greatest country on the planet.
Amen. Well, there you have it, everybody. Chad Caton, ladies and gentlemen, advocate, veteran.
Pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass. That's a win. I think you probably like that title.
I really do.
I bet you do.
I really do.
So, folks, if you'd like to follow us at, you can find us on X, I guess we call it now. It's formerly Twitter.
Yeah.
You can find us there at GruntStyleFDN. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube at Grunt Style Foundation. And come check out some of our content. We're all over the place doing the craziest of things, and we run around with crazy people like Chad Caton. So come get involved, and we will see you all next time. The Grunt Style Foundation continues fighting for those who have served. Support our mission at gruntstylefoundation.org/donate. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and keep moving forward with purpose.